All right. Hey, everybody. I think I got the issues sorted. We'll see how this goes. One of those days today. All right, let me just make sure this is going. And I think we're good. All right, so here's where we are. Pull up the to-do list here first. I feel like I have this backwards, which is strangely annoying. I think we normally do this. And my brain is not liking the fact that it's been switched. So let's have a look at our to-do list. Get rid of this. There we go. So we've covered a lot of ground, and I cheated a little. I did the cooking show thing today, and I stood this up. I haven't tested it. I'll walk you through the template so you have an idea of what we did. But sorry, the audio here. I'm listening to the a Halloween playlist, and it's a little too loud, so I just gotta adjust. Maybe. I don't know. Things are just not working correctly today. Let me see if I can change it in the player itself. Give me a sec. Yeah, here's a volume editor. That's as low as it'll go. Okay. Yeah, the streaming PC is just not in a good place this afternoon for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on. But anyways, we'll ignore that. So yeah, like I was saying, I'll walk you through this template, but the deployment of the CloudFormation template for the relational database service it takes some time to get that working. So I actually did that earlier today, and then kind of went for dinner and came back and it was done. So I'm hoping that everything is good there. We'll test it out. We've got our auto scaling to do still. We've actually got to install WordPress here. We've got a lot of the machine image created at this point. All we really need to do on the machine image is actually install WordPress, which we're really not going to put on the machine image. What we're going to do is we're going to put that on the Elastic file system instead. So we're getting really kind of close to getting this all finished up. So let me walk you through the relational database template first. So it's a big one, and I did this a little differently than what we've seen earlier in the broadcast. I pulled this out of one of our services that we offer to our customers. So the template is more flexible than what we usually build live here. Lots of options. And then what I did was I just modified it to use sort of the same tactics that we've been using throughout the broadcast, where we use the import value commands and we pull those in. So it's pretty basic, but you'll notice another difference is I've got everything in a single template, which is perfectly valid. Although the thing that sometimes gets me a little bit is we've got identity and access management resources here mixed in with a bunch of other things, which in this case it's a role for monitoring. Okay, because I wanted to make sure that we had the additional monitoring on our relational database service. So is it a big deal? I don't know. I guess it depends. Some people would say it's a big deal. I don't think so in this case. And like I mentioned, we're using these pre-bundled templates that we create and use as a service. And what we try to do there is create all the templates as standalone components because it makes them easier to mix and match, right? So we've got the role here to allow for the enhanced monitoring in the relational database service. We've also created, I'm going to jump around here. We've got a parameter group and we've got a subnet group. So let's talk about what these are. The relational database service. Oh, hey, Kevin. Welcome back, man. The relational database service, we can deploy it in two modes, single AZ and multi-AZ. Single AZ, we have, well, a single node deployed in an availability zone. And you can imagine that that is maybe okay in development, but anytime we want to do anything in production, you would want to make sure that you have a primary and secondary node. So we deploy in a multi-AZ deployment. So we have the primary, the secondary. Amazon manages the replication. Amazon manages the failover for us if anything were to happen to the primary node. In that event, if the primary node goes away, Amazon, on our behalf, promotes the secondary node, promotes the secondary node to the primary node, creates a new secondary node, reestablishes replication for us, and on we go. The subnet group is essentially the way that we tell the relational database service where we want the primary and the secondary node to go. Amazon decides, though, in which of these two subnets the primary and the secondary go, right? You don't define, oh, put the primary in AZ1 and put the secondary in AZ2. So the subnet group is how we give information to the relational database service to say, yeah, we want you to create two nodes here. You put them in one of these two subnets, which, remember, subnets are tied to different availability zones. So we're going to build across multiple AZs. That's what we're going to do here with this subnet group. Okay. And then if I scroll back up, the parameter group is one of the options that we have as users of the relational database service to customize it. Because it's fully managed, we don't have access to the underlying operating system. We don't have access to, in our case, the MySQL application, because all of that's abstracted away, right? We can't log into the underlying host. So instead, Amazon provides us with a parameter group and an option group. And they do exactly what they say. They allow us to set parameters. They allow us to set options to configure, in our example, the MySQL instance that we're deploying here. We didn't create an option group in this template. We just have the parameter group. And you'll notice that the parameter group's empty anyways, but we like to create it rather than using the default parameter group. So that's what this is for. Also, a little deviation from what we normally do. The security group is right in the same template. If you remember, up till this point, we have created, actually, look, we've got some duplication. So we're going to change the way we do this. We created this relational database security group already, but in the template itself, we deployed a security group. Again, just to keep it simple, okay? And then the real kind of work in this template is done right here. So we've got the database instance created. You'll notice that we did set a deletion policy here. When we delete this template at the end of the day, by default, we're going to retain the database instance itself. All right. I might later go back and just delete it. Do I really care if it's there? Probably not. But anyways, if I was doing this for a customer or in like a real production environment, I would definitely have a deletion policy on a lot of the resources that we've deployed here, because I want to protect those against accidents, right? Things still happen. And then you can see we got a lot of parameters defined here. Okay. We won't go through all these, but you can see the storage, how we want Amazon to handle upgrades for us, major versus minor, retention periods, all that great stuff. Okay. And this, I deployed this, like I said, before I sat down for dinner. And let's pull it up here. We should see it. So here's our relational database service, right? Obviously not doing anything right now because we haven't attached anything. And you can see I deployed a really small instance. Again, just trying to manage the costs here. Okay. So we go over to CloudFormation. There's our template for RDS. So it finished at what? 1718. And I started at 1706. So what's that? About 12 minutes roughly? It felt a lot longer than 12 minutes, but I fired it up, made sure it didn't fail, because yeah, that kind of sometimes happens, right? And because I had made a bunch of changes to the template that I knew worked, I wanted to make sure that it worked okay. And then you can see it finished up here. Let me go back over to the database service, and I'll just show you the monitoring piece. Okay. So here's our standard metrics, right? You've also got performance insights, which you can see we didn't enable. I don't know if performance insights, I'd have to look. Performance insights is enabled, or you can enable it on the type of instance we're using. Let's have a look. Actually, let's do it this way instead. Go to the documentation. So it's going to consume a little bit of CPU and memory. I wanted to see if there was anything about the size of the instance. I thought there was some requirements for that. Here we go. So you've got the versions here, not supported on the following classes. And we used a DB T3 small, okay? Yeah, it's CloudWatch, Kevin. So what you've got here is you end up with potentially 2 locations. So we've got, if we go back here, the standard monitoring that we've got here, where is it? Right in front of me. This is CloudWatch. All right. And then if you go under Performance Insights, I would suspect that it's probably powered by CloudWatch. Like maybe they use the CloudWatch repository for this, but it's a little different. This will show us in particular, like queries that are taking too long and things like that. I'm going to add it to our to-do list. I thought I had it somewhere actually, now that I think about it. Okay. So you've got a couple different things here that you've got options. If I was doing this again, I would make sure that we had enough horsepower here for Performance Insights. I can tell you it's a handy tool to have access to when you're troubleshooting problems. We've used it a couple times in real life scenarios to kind of help us understand what's happening. So it's nice to have. Okay. So that's that. And like I said, I'm assuming that our database is correct, but I haven't tried to connect to it or anything like that. If we go back over here and have a look, I think what I want to do is do this. So we'll install WordPress on a machine. So I guess let's get the machine going, because I don't think I started one. Yeah, there's nothing. So remember, we left this machine image. This is our latest one. So we'll launch a new machine from this. And we're going to do, I think we did T4G mediums. Put this in the private subnet. We'll use our role so we can get out with SSM. And then I don't think we changed anything else here. We want to use version 2 of metadata only. I want user data. If you remember, what we're going to do is we're going to put the config file for Apache on an S3 bucket or in an S3 bucket. And when the machine comes to life, we want to pull that config file down and restart the Apache server. I'm not going to do it now because I don't think we have the permissions in the IAM role up here to actually access S3. We're going to test that and see. So I'm going to leave this empty for now. There's the storage we've got set up. Okay. Let's make sure we've got the right keys. Yeah, so we're using this one. Okay. And I'll just call it, there we go. And we should have a security group already, which we are calling this one. All right, so we'll give that a minute to start. So we've got the auto scaling. We're going to do this now, which should actually, we should be able to install this. We'll point it to the database, which would validate the database configuration. And that would allow us, what we'll do is we'll also make this part of our, oh, I didn't deploy the load balancer. You can see here, I left this one in review for some reason. When I was doing this, just at the end of the day, I was like, was there something I had to do to this one before we could deploy it? I don't remember. It looks pretty standard, right? Load balancer, 2 listeners, the target group. It'll yell at us. It's gonna. Oh no, there's our ACM. So we've got the cert and everything. Let's see. Let's see what it does. Okay. All right. So let's see if we can't get to this. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So that's alive. And I'll show you what I'm thinking of trying to do here. We open up another window. We go over to S3. We should have our WordPress bucket here still. Remember, we have our comp file. There's our comp file right there. So my thoughts are that, let me do this. Copy S3 URI. We're going to go back over here, and I'm just going to do AWS S3 CP, and it should throw an error. Yeah. So we don't have the permissions in the IAM role that we're associating to the CC2 instance to talk to that S3 bucket. So I think the first thing we'll try to figure out is, what do we need for access rights to copy these files down? Because remember, when the machine comes to life, what I want to do,
from your calendar,
hang on, Alexa,
demand Gen Live,
Alexa,
stop.
One of these Tuesdays, I'll remember to remove that reminder. What I want to do is copy this file down on boot and then restart the Apache server, because that will point us to the right directory. Okay. Now, did we mount everything properly? Look at that. Oh, I know why this failed. I deleted the file system. So it's trying to mount this and it doesn't exist. So let's go back over to EFS. We just have to change that one line. I rip all this down between because I don't want to pay for this, right, while we're not using it. So it does cause a little bit of a challenge here. So all we really need is this. If we go back over here. Okay. There we go. We're back in business. So we should have, oh yeah, we don't have anything, of course we don't, right? We got to recreate this. So note to self, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to delete that EFS file system this time. I'll leave it running. So where are we here? Actually, we do it like this. Now we'll leave that. Okay, and this is where we want to change the ownership of this. And again, I think we lost some of our setup here. Okay, no, see here, Apache, ESM user, so these are the groups. So SSM user is part of the Apache group. So I think what we did last time was we said, we did this. The owner is SSM user, the group is Apache. All right, so there we go. Now here's the thing, that it's been a long time since I've installed WordPress. Now, we'll go right to the source here, right? Download and unzip the package. That's easy. We can do that. There is a pretty cool, like if back in the day when we did WordPress hosting, there was this old, well, it wasn't old. This is pretty slick if you're interested in this. So it's a command line interface for WordPress. We're not going to do it this time, but it's neat in the fact that you can run like WP plugin install. You can do WP download, WP install. You can do a bunch of commands. So if you're actually interested in running this, it's just a simple PHP app that you can set up, and it's pretty slick. But I think what we'll do is we're just going to follow these instructions. Download and extract. So where do we actually download this from, though? Get WordPress? Okay, this is what we want. So we're just going to copy that. And we'll just... Easy, right? Famous last words. What did I do wrong? Latest tar. What did it say? Old option F requires an argument. Hold on, let's Google this. That's not what I wanted. I used to do this all the time and my brain will not remember what the command is. Everybody's showing us how to make a tar file. How do we go in the opposite direction? You can create any tar gzip file just like a TG, so we can try it like this. Ah, look at this. I stopped using the two-step. Okay, beginning the. Okay, so let's try this. Tar, blah, blah, blah. Who knew the hardest thing was going to be figuring out how to run this? Gzip minus DC. I'm sure this. Okay, see, that's not what we want. You got to pass it to the tar command. What is that? Is it just like this, maybe? So let's watch the stream while somebody tries to. There we go. Remember how to run a tar command. Let's just quit right now. What is this we're listening to? I don't know if anybody else is listening to the doing the Amazon stream thing in the background, but yeah, I'm going to change this. What is that? Wow. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the old sudo move WordPress star, because it's one directory deep, right? So we'll do that. Yay. And then we'll do. And now I'm going to keep the latest and we'll just dump it into. Oh, you're going to laugh, but I mapped my keyboard and I messed it up. I don't have the tilde key anymore. So I can't do the tilde thing. So we're going to do it this way instead. Sudo move here. Okay. Little backwards, but still works. And you know the funny thing is about no tilde key is, did you know? Yeah, Kevin, not on my list of tunes I listen to. I was trying to stomach through it and I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. This one that's playing right now is more my style, 80s kind of stuff, right? The tilde key. It's amazing how often I want to use the tilde key now that it's not on my keyboard. And of course, I think about it. I'm like, oh man, damn, no tilde key. And then I go and do something else, and I forget to change it. And it got to the point the other day that I actually did this. And then I think I went here, and I actually did the old cut and paste off a web page to get the tilde key. Oops. But it worked. Okay, so we've got this. And what we're going to do is we are going to clean this up a bit. We don't need that. We don't need the license. What else don't we need? I think that's it for now. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to make a copy of wp-config sample, and we want to make it wp-config.php. Okay, and now here's what we gotta fix this up to get connected to our DB. So I'm just gonna clean a whole bunch of this out of here. Just again, like we did with our what was it, our Apache config file, just to make it a little smaller. I'm gonna leave this one for now because I need that URL, and then we'll continue the destruction of this file. That's all. Right, we don't need to worry about any of this. So the first thing I want to do is go here and get the salt that we're going to use. So we're going to grab this. It's like riding a bike. I remember some of this stuff. And we'll just paste that in here. And then we'll just get rid of all this. Whoops, careful. I jinxed myself now. I said it's like riding a bike, right? Okay, there we go. So we got the salt in there, that's fine. And now this is where we need to change up some stuff. What we'll do is, oh, you know, I forgot about something. Okay, we're just gonna go, okay. We need, I think what I'll do is I should have set the user up earlier, because I gotta go in, I gotta connect to the database. Yeah, cut and paste the tilde. That's how bad it got. I gotta go into the database and I gotta actually create. Okay, so this is how we're gonna do this. If we were doing this for real, we wouldn't do what I'm just gonna do, okay? We're gonna use, when you create your database, you create, in RDS, you create the admin user. We're gonna use the admin user in our WordPress config with a giant sort of don't do this at home kind of thing, because what I'm showing you here is the way we would normally do this. We'd go in and we'd create a unique user for each of the databases that we're gonna create, right? Each of the WordPress databases. But to be honest, I just don't want to have to connect to the machine. I don't have an easy way to connect to that database because I don't have a Bastion host or anything. So we're going to use the admin user. But like I said, don't do this if you're actually setting this up for real, right? You want to create individual users. Okay. So we can grab a couple of these things easily. okay, so is Bad Romance a Halloween song? I don't know. I guess even the last one wasn't really Spin Me Round. Is that really a Halloween song? I don't know. So here's the database connection string that we're going to use. Okay, so we're going to go back here. We're going to paste that here. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you the password. It doesn't really matter because you can't connect to this instance from the outside world anyways. But again, you'd want to do this more securely than what I'm just going to do here. Oh, this is one of the things that I didn't show. So speaking of not putting credentials anywhere, here is how we create the username and password for the database. I'll show you the template in a second, but we create parameters in the parameter store. Basically the parameter store is key value pair. So I've got the user and the password, and these are just strings that we store in the systems manager parameter store. And then in CloudFormation, I can refer to those items and pull them in. Okay. So let me show you this. Right here. So this is the parameter type that we're using. It's a special parameter type that exists in CloudFormation. It's called a systems manager or an SSM specific parameter type. And we just refer. The :1 is the version, because if I show you this here, it doesn't really matter which one. See the version? So if I was to go in here and change the user or the password, then I'd have version 2. So you'd need to make sure that you could update these as well. All right. So this is just admin. That was easy. Not DB name. This, I don't even know why did I cut and paste that? Be careful here. Admin. And like I said, I'm going to show you this password because you can't connect to this machine anyways. And I'll delete it later when we're done. So I'm not super worried about it. But I will hide it again, just in case. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. What a great... I'm actually gonna watch this movie. This just made me think of it. My wife has a we got it years ago. It's like something from like oh, what is it? It was a card store. It doesn't exist anymore. They used to have these little gifts you could get at different times of the year, and we got this one, and it's a tree, and when you press the one of the arms sticking out of it, like the branch, it plays a little bit of this song. So it always makes me think of it. All right, and then we're gonna create, so we've got our host, we've got our user, and then we need our actual database. And this could be, I'm hoping this works the way I want it to. We'll see here in a second. So in this case, we'll just make it Acme widgets, okay? So at this point, we can save this. We've made all the changes we need to make. Okay. So now we've got our WP config file, which is the important one. We'll leave the sample here just in case I've messed something up severely, so we can get that. And then I don't think we really have to change much else. You could obviously do something way more sophisticated than this. And we're going to do SSM user Apache star. And that's just going to change the file ownership for everything. All right. So there we go, right? Now, the only other thing is, I know as part of the process, it's going to want to create an htaccess file. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the htaccess file. And then we're going to basically say, I think it's the same permissions. We want to do because during the setup process, and I don't know if this is really going to matter for us. What did I do wrong there? Oh, I spelt it. I spelled access wrong, which isn't strange, right? There we go. So this is just I don't know if it'll really matter for how deep we're going to go into WordPress. I just want to make sure that it works. And this is a way that we can make the URLs pretty and a bunch of other stuff. So when we run this, it's going to need access to the file to make a change to it during the setup process, if I recall properly. Or correctly, I guess I should say. Now, if we go over here, here's a good song. All right, so we've got all this set up already. Oh, look, here's the other thing. www logs. Remember we moved that to a local drive, so we better check that. These are all set. The www logs directory is local, right? I think it's this one right here. Another 8 gig drive. So we can do, it's funny that we didn't put that in the fstab. Yeah, okay, so let's fix that. First, I think we can just do this. Okay, that already exists. So it's there, but we didn't mount it. So what we'll do is we'll say, actually, let's be careful how we do this. So we're going to do sudo mount perfect. So that's what we need. And that means we can fix this easily, but I don't remember the fstab command. So Amazon does a good job at this. Format. So this, if you were starting from scratch, we've done this already. So if you're starting from scratch, you could go through these steps. I'm just looking for the proper formatting of the fstab file again. Here's what we want. So see this right here? So we need to do block ID, which would give us the UUID of the volume. So let's do that. Okay. And this right here, this one right here is what we're after. So we'll grab that. This song reminds me of, I used to go to camp in the summer, and they would always play this song. It just makes me think of camp. Okay, so and then we want to say, what else do we need? Any options? Open fstab. Yeah, we need these on the end here. All right, so in theory, unless I mess that up, we should be able to do sudo umount Why would that be busy? Where am I? I wonder if the web server's writing to it. It is. Okay, so we'll do systemctl stop, I think. Okay. Well, it's obviously working, so let's just go like this for now. Get that going again. This will allow us to test, I think. Oh, you know what? There's something that's gonna get us here. I'll show you, and then we'll figure out how to fix it. So if I go to EC2, we go to target groups, assuming that our load balancer, oh look, I got these other demos here. Let's delete these. Do I have another load balancer sitting here? I do. I gotta write some scripts to clean these up. I use this account when we're doing training and stuff, like if I'm walking through things. And I obviously didn't clean up well after the last thing. Okay, so if we go here and we register a target, here's our machine that we're using as our testing, right? We may actually see this not successfully pass a health check. And let's wait for a minute and see what it does. This always takes way longer than you think. It's probably going to take longer than I think. I'll show you what I'm thinking is going to happen here. We're going to get no, I want AWS ALB. So what's happening is, remember that we've got a load balancer. The load balancer is taking traffic and it's redirecting all those requests to the HTTPS listener that we created, right? And then from the load balancer to the web server, we're unencrypting it. We're just sending it on port 80 between those two hosts. And this will screw up the redirection. So what you have to do is you have to make a change on the WordPress config to stop exactly this, the endless redirect loop. And that will allow us to communicate properly. Let's see here if it's, yeah, see what's happening? Oh, that's a 500. That's probably not it. It could be related. So let's close a couple of these. I closed the one I wanted. This is something you got to do in the... I always used to fix this in the WordPress config. There's a little chunk of code. See this right here? Try adding this to your HTTP. Yeah, this is what we want right here. Although we're not going to add it to our virtual host. We're just going to put it in. Remember I created that htaccess file? So we're just going to take this. Oh, see this here though? I think I just need to change that. Didn't think of this at all. Oh, here we go. The fix is this. I know this is Beanstalk, but really we're just after that little bit of config file. Here, this is what we're after. This little piece here goes right in the PHP config. Let's see if we can do this here. I don't think it matters where we put this. Okay. Oops, wrong button. Hang on. I'm gonna make this a little easier to read. VI is not the friendliest editor. I'm sure there's a keyboard shortcut for that, but I don't remember what it is. Okay, there we go. So if it's CloudFront, HTTPS, or this, then the server has HTTPS on. I want to say, if I remember, that's all we needed to do. Okay. Did I just do the same thing? I catted the error log twice, didn't I? See, we're getting a 500 from the health check. Let's let it go for a bit and see if that fixes it. Yeah, see? How can we do this? The first time we hit the WordPress site, it basically gives you a little setup page. And I think what's happening here is because we're going through the load balancer to hit that the first time, it's not working. Although I'm not quite sure why it's giving us the 500 error. What we could do, I didn't think about this when I was setting this up. Like, what I normally would do is I'd have a machine that's directly accessible from the public internet, and then that way we would just hit like whatever its IP address is, and it should pop the WordPress page, and then we can finish the config, and that way we've got our config done, and it should work at that point. How could we do this? You know what we could maybe do? We need to check to see what this configuration is set up to do. So let's grab this security group. Whoops. So we're saying allow 2049, which is the port for NFS, from the WordPress servers. So what we could maybe try, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new machine image first off of this one. Okay, because now this has got the mount target set the way we want it and everything. So let's create a quick image of that. Okay. And what did we call the last one we created? Just a date, okay. Oh yeah, we missed last week. I say we. I missed last week. I was teaching last week, and by the time I was done the class, I was just exhausted on Tuesday, so I sat on the couch. All right, probably have a big red mark on my forehead now. We'll give this a second to do its thing. So what I'm thinking we'll do here is we'll create a new EC2 instance from this new AMI that we've got. Let's deregister this one. We don't care, right? And then we will, let's go back over here. We'll launch it in the public subnet. It should still have access to everything. If I'm thinking about the security groups right. And then we can just hit it directly and see if that 500 error is still there. So let's deregister this. And as I say, it will have access. Let's go check the security group here. I just want to see what we put here. Whoops, wrong place here. Yeah, I think we've just got it set up for the entire VPC. We'll change that. We'll tighten it up a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to make that just like we had on the other security group for EFS, where we said allow inbound from the WordPress security group. We'll say allow inbound from the WordPress security group here as well. Okay. Let me add that to our to-do list. But I think for now this will work. Ah. All right, while we're waiting for that, talk about multitasking, eh? We'll just go over to CloudTrail. Maybe. What I want to do is I want to look to see, remember when we got that error for trying to run the S3 copy? So I want to have a look here and see if we can find that error message, and we can start looking at modifying the policy. I don't remember what machine we ran that off of. Probably this one. Actually, we only have one machine running, don't we? Yeah, 452. So I think we can search here as this is a username. We'll try it like this first. Nope. Let's go 1 hour. Nope. I'm just looking for an access denied error here. There's nothing there either. I think we'll wing it. Let's see if this is done. Still going. All right, so what we're going to do, so we're going to go over to IAM. I'm going to jump back on this machine. And we'll just do a couple tests. So we know the role that we're using here has got WordPress in the name, right? It's this one here. And let's just have a look at the permissions. So yeah, all it has is the CloudWatch agent server policy, which allows us to run the get parameter info off of CloudWatch or out of SSM to grab that. And then we've got the basic managed SSM. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a temporary policy. And I'm going to do this just to test and get the policy correct to get the files that we need. And then we'll codify this. I don't think we need a lot. We're going to do this. this will be any, and then I need the name of the bucket. Sorry, Kevin, I missed your chat there, but you got it figured out? Okay, so that's a policy we'll use just temporarily. So I'll just call this Brett S3 temp. Okay, and then we're going to go back to the roles. We're going to find WordPress. What we're trying to do here is just make sure that we keep this as minimum or least privilege as we can. And we'll just associate this. I was attempting to be helpful. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Okay, so that's there. Now, if we go back over here, go conf here, copy the S3. It can't be this easy. It never is, but let's try it. Where are we? Let's go back here. I could say that I knew exactly what I was doing and, you know, I just remember all of this stuff, but that would be a lie. It worked though, so I'm happy with that. All right, so let's clean this up. Okay, and then let's go back over here. And what we need to do is we need to create a managed, so these are the two AWS Managed Policies. We could probably even tighten some of these up, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, let's just put a comment in here. This is a classic. Okay, I'm going to try to get this sized like we have done in the past, and we'll just say whoops, not what I wanted. So I'm looking for this. All right, so let's give this a description. Okay. This is what I always have to look up. Again, you'd think by now I'd remember this a bit. There we go. Version. Oops. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take the one that we created manually, and we'll just jam it in here. Now, I could do get star or get object star, but we know exactly what we need because it seemed to work. So instead of doing that, I'm going to take exactly what we did here. Get object and get object ACL. Right? And then that way it's just the two permissions that we're needing at this point. And then we need to put in the ARN for our bucket. And in this case, we need the ARN for the bucket and the objects. So I'll show you how I'll do this. Take this and say copy ARN. Right, and then we're going to take this. How do we want to do this? Oh, look, even better. We just have the ARN for the bucket as an export already. So we can go back here and say, since again these are all directly related, I don't mind using the FN import that we've used a couple times. So I'm just going to grab it from here. And in this case, we can just do this. Ref. No, we don't even need the ref. We just want that. We'll say S3 stack. And then what do we call it? Bucket ARN. Okay. Now, how do we want to do this one? I'm going to try the sub command here. And we'll do the same thing. And then we can do... So this is the bucket, and then we need the objects in the bucket. I'm not sure if it'll like that or not. I'm going to try it. What's the worst that could happen, right? This is another camp song. Oh, I didn't finish. Hold on. We created the policy, but assuming that policy works, we need this. And we're going to put, even though we don't need it because this is all deployed already, I'm going to put the depends on here because I will most likely blow all this up later, right? Isn't it funny how certain songs just like trigger an immediate reaction to something? Like it just has that like memory. It's tied in your brain. It's odd. Okay, so that's that. Do I have... Yeah, here's our project dashboard. Popped up in your playlist. YAML not well formatted line 37. Yeah, that's this one right here. So I think what we'll do instead is we're going to use the join command. I think this one will work a little nicer. We'll say the join is backslash. And then what we'll do is we'll take this. I don't know if it's because there's so many quotes, single quotes there, and then I'll go, and then we can just get rid of all this. Let's try that. Ah. Oh. I'm jumping the gun here. We don't have this. Oh, well, yeah, that's totally wrong. Wait. No, we need... Yeah, we're in the IAM policy. We need the S3 stack. So this should be S3 stack, right? And we need to pass that in. Let's have a look at something here first. The deploy order. IAM goes before S3. So this will work this time, but going forward it might not. So what we're going to do is we're going to push S3 here so that it goes first. And let's just make sure that we don't have any other imports in here that are working magic for us. Okay, I don't see any import values in the S3 file. So what we can do now is just go down here, and we just have to say, I I keep screwing this up. We want to go to IAM. And here we want to say S3 stack. And they're all named the same, right? Like that. Okay, let's try this again. Let's see if that fixed it. Okay, there we go. Another good one. Now I want to adjust my audio again. All right. So we should be able to go back here now. Go here. Here's our change set. There's our new managed policy, and we're going to add it or modify role 0 by associating it. So assuming this is all good. That's not going to work, is it? I'm going to have to... I think the very first time I did this little split screen, it worked really well. And ever since then, I haven't been able to kind of figure out how I had it set up that worked well. It feels, one side always feels squished. I think I'm just going to have to kind of do this. So that looks like it's going to work. So all we're going to do now is remove this, and there it is. There's our policy, right? It should look just like the other one. There we go. And what we'll do now is we'll go back here and we'll find the temporary policy that we created, and we will delete it because we don't need it for anything else. Okay, so that's that. Now we should have that machine ready by now, right? The AMI. So let's see if my theory of how we can work around that initial error in WordPress. So we'll go here. I'm just going to deploy it as a small, doesn't really matter. The only thing that we're going to do different this time is we're going to put it in a public subnet, and we're going to give it a public IP address. And this will let us attach to it, right? Well, I don't really think it needs the role, but I'm going to add it anyways. Same thing here. There's our regular storage. We'll call this now this is going to be interesting. So, because in this case, see what we've got? It's only allowing inbound 80 from the WordPress or from the load balancer. So what we'll do is we'll just say, I'm going to create this temporarily, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll just delete it after. We'll say HTTP from my address. Get that launched. We can still get at it through SSH by using the session manager solution, and this should let me get at this address through the browser here. We'll give it a whirl in a second and see what it does. Okay, while we're waiting, let's go back to our handy to-do list. Yeah, we're really still working on these, aren't we? Did we create Bootstrap init? Yeah, this is what we wanted. So we can go here and we can grab this file. And we want to dump that here. I think it's conf d. We're gonna have to check, but that'll be the script that we'll put in our auto scaling config, so that every time a new machine runs, it'll do this. And then after we're done that, we have to do systemctl http see, I always forget. I think it's restart httpd, like that. We'll check again. Right? So copy the file down, the config file, and then restart the Apache server. Okay, and then let's go back over here. No, this is the one. So let's jump onto this machine first and just see if Apache is working first off. And that, because it also needed to mount that drive. So it mounted this, but it did not mount our NFS drive. This is probably, oh, you know why? It's not in the right security group. So what we're going to do is, again, temporarily, we're just going to add it to a couple security groups. And I think this will get us around the problem. Remember, in our EFS setup, we said allow it from the WPSG group. So it needs to be there. I got one good. I don't want to mess with the audio because I'm worried that it's screwing up with the recording. When I had my audio turned down, could you hear me okay still? Let me try it. So I've just turned down my master input on my side. How's the audio coming through? Is it still high enough or is it too low? I'm not sure if adjusting the master is screwing up my broadcast. Somebody let me know, that'd be great. All right, so let's go back over here. All good? All right, perfect, thanks. I think we just have a problem with our, yeah. So that is something in EFS. Let's have another look at this and make sure I understand what we did. So see what I've got down here. We're basically saying allow NFS. Oh, I know what it is. So this might work, but if we go back and look at EFS, these are in those subnets. No, we should be able to mount. I thought we could mount across the subnet. There's always something, right? How could we get this to work? If I hit the machine, it's not going to do anything because where did that go? Yeah, it's going to time out because we have no real web server running here. I guess in theory we could do some real screwy stuff, and we could temporarily install WordPress on here. It's literally one command, right? We could grab the config file off the other machine, dump it on here. That should be able to initialize the database. Let's do that. I think that'll work. So let's do this again. WordPress.org. Oh yeah, we baked it right into the AMI. Yeah, okay. So here's what we'll do. We'll do, it doesn't really matter where we install this temporarily. So if we just do, actually, yeah, it'll put it in the WordPress directory anyways. Right? And then if we go, we could just go back over here. Wow, this is screwy to make this work. I hope it works after all this. What we can do is we can grab from here. I don't have bash, hold on. I guarantee you there's an easier way to do this, but it's been so long since I messed with WordPress that I don't recall. So we can go config, maybe. Third time's a charm. There we go. And we're just going to do this. Why is that not working? Usually again, delete till right to the end of the file. I can't remember that VI command. Let's just do it the old school way. Okay. Now I can't find my escape key. Escape? There we go. Okay. Okay, so we got to change this. It's just conf, not conf-d. And now we're just going to go and what I'm going to change these to is, oops, the wrong key. I think that's all it was. I'm going to be shocked if this actually works. Okay. You ever notice Meatloaf songs go on forever, even though you don't want them to? I guess I could click the forward button, but I'm not lazy. Oh, look at that. I got an equals character there on the end of that. Ooh, that's definitely not what we wanted. That got ugly. There we go. I think that's it. The rest of this can stay the same. See, it's all www logs. Okay. And now if we go back here, assuming that I typed this right, which I'm hoping I did, home SSM user, and then we should have WordPress. We'll do the same thing that we did before. SSM user, Apache, WordPress. Okay. And now if we run a status, it'll tell us how badly we messed it up. It's running. I don't think he does a song under 10 minutes. I think they're all classic rock ballads. So have you seen what the Charlie Brown Highway to Hell remix? If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. It's on somebody's Twitter feed, and just Google Charlie Brown Christmas AC/DC and you'll find it. It's worth a look. Somebody did a really great job. Okay, so this is running in theory. If we go back over here, go here. Yeah, it's worth it. Aye, forbidden. This will be a permissions problem on the shoddy layout of our file system, because Apache won't have access down this far. So we might be better off to do something like this. Right? Okay. Oh, that's already there. Okay, let's be careful how we do this, because that's a mount point, and I know I'm not going to make anything out of this, but I don't want to screw it up too much. I should have just done this in the first place. So we'll say sudo make dir public HTML. Does it even matter? Nah, let's do this. Again, no tilde, so we got to do it the long way. We'll say sudo move WordPress to, okay. Okay. So that should be, before I go anywhere, let's just check this. There we go. So that's right. Although, yeah, I think that'll be enough. Just looking at the permissions there. Well, that worked not so well. Where did I copy that to? I said move, right? What did I do wrong? WordPress to temp. www-temp. Nothing's here. Another good one. Oh, look. Okay. Oh, man. I can always tell when I'm starting to get a little tired. Okay, so if we go up here, we should do this. Oh, man. Okay, let me just be careful where I am here before I really muck this up. Move. Okay. I should have done a copy there, just in case. All right, that's a little better. So now, sorry, I already forget. I think it's right in ls. Yeah, it's right in the root. Okay. Ah. Wow, it's amazing how quickly you forget your VI shortcuts. There we go. And I don't even know the good ones. Okay, try this. Okay, it's running again. Okay, there we go. That's why we're getting the 500 error. So this to me means that either we've got bad database credentials, the cut and paste didn't work, or when it errors out that fast though, it's probably credentials. Let's just have a quick look here. Create a database. Yeah, we've got that already. Upload your files. Run the WordPress install script by accessing the URL. That's it. Yeah, as well as a user who has all privileges for accessing and modifying it. So that should be okay. Because we just remember we broke the rule here and we just put in our main credentials. Maybe this is all for nothing. Maybe it's just a typo here, which wouldn't really surprise me. Yeah, look what I've done. That is not the right database host. I did an insanely bad cut and paste job. So let's go back over here. And I'll tell you what we're going to try. We're going to get the real connection string. I mustn't have grabbed the whole thing. So we'll go back here. I don't know what the heck I copied. I wanted this whole thing. Copy. Okay. Insert. Paste. Looks significantly different, doesn't it? I don't know what I copied that first time. And then we need closing brackets there. Now, I'm interested to see. I'm going to save this, but I'm not going to hit this web. I'm not going to like actually do anything here yet, because I'm wondering if the thing I just screwed up was that connection string on the original WP config file on this guy. I wonder if we fix that, if we'll be able to actually hit the website. Maybe that's all it was. Based on our past experience of typos on the channel, I would not be surprised. And this is WP config. I don't know if you have to restart this, but I'm going to. Okay. Now, if we go back over here, go to EC2, and what we'll do is we'll just give it a minute to see if the health check passes. And then that would mean that we did all that extra work for nothing. But it was good practice, right? That's the way you got to think about it. Good practice. Let's give it a second and see what it does. While we're waiting, I guess it's the first game tonight, isn't it? Let's see what the score is. 2-0. Look at that. Wow. Something else. So, Kevin, who's going to win? What's your, if you had to put money on it, who are you saying? Braves are going to take? I'm with you. They looked so good against, wow, the Dodgers? I already forget. I hope they win. How long is our health check? We need 5 consecutive healthy checks with 30 seconds between. So what's that? 150 seconds? So 2 minutes? I think it's still unhealthy. Yeah, LA, right? Okay, it looks like it's still unhealthy, so maybe it wasn't that easy. Let's hit our other website again. See what it does. Still a database. Oh, hold on. I didn't finish this one, did I? Wow. I'm not fast forwarding through this one just because it's that bad. Kevin, if you're listening to the stream, then you get to listen to it with me. I don't even know what to say. Okay, so that looks good. Still. Okay, so actually, you know what we could do? Let's go in here. I'm going to show you this because this is a newer feature that I thought was kind of slick. So I can go here. It's actually, I think you can find it in, is it in security groups? I hate to admit it, but this would make you smile, right? Okay, so our source is an instance, and we want to use this one. And our destination is, I was hoping that we could go in here and say a database and use the path analyzer, but it doesn't look like it's going to do what I want. All right, so let's work through this. Let's go to RDS. When it fails that fast, it usually means that it's not a route or a security group, but let's go through it and check. So if we just check our security group here, so we're allowing 3306 from where? The entire the entire VPC right now. So that should not be a problem. Okay, so that's fine. Let's check on the VPC, because sometimes when we set those public subnets, we don't let them. No, it has to be able. The VPC can see everything, so that's not it either. It's got to be a password issue. So we're in one of the public subnets. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I can see everything, right? Local. So to me then that means that it is an issue with connecting to the database itself. Does this write logs? Yeah, so this is me hitting it. All right. Okay. So let's work through this and just do a couple little things. Now, trying to think of how we can test this, because we don't really have anything to tunnel a connection through. And I don't know if I have the MySQL client installed here. I guess since we're just using this as a temporary machine, we could do we could just try this on command line. That's what we're trying to do. Yum update oh, we can just run MySQL. Yeah, again, we're just going to blow this up. So do I really care? So now we should be able to do -u there. And then I think it's -h. Oops. Yeah, it's just -h. So we can go back over here. Again, grab this. Do password. I started typing. I'm like, yeah, I can just get the password. Is it not showing? Aye. I guess I could have gotten this out of the systems manager, right? Just grab that. Okay, so we just connected. I wonder if we need to create the database. So let's do this. Create database. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so we got that. And then we could do this. Grant all privileges on Acme widgets.star to admin. And what we'll say is we'll say, I think you do at, where's my at symbol? There we go. Basically from anywhere. Ah. It was worth a shot. Wow. Grant all privileges on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I got to put that in quotes. So I don't know if we can edit this or not. Grant all privileges on Acme widget star to. It doesn't like the identified. Don't I screw up there? Okay, maybe I don't need that. I always thought you had to add that to the end. Okay, there we go. So now let's see what happens. Hey. So we needed to create that database. I'm not sure. I always thought in WordPress if you had enough access that it would do what we wanted. But obviously not. So we're going to do Acme widgets admin. I'm just going to copy this. Let's just dump that here for now, just so we don't lose it. And then we'll just say look at that, eh? We're in business, in theory. So this is setting up the database. Okay, so now we should be able to go admin, paste, bada boom, bada bing. Yeah, okay, we don't care about any of this really. I'm gonna take this and we're just gonna put this into our to-do file. Okay. And we'll take it out of here because at some point I want to use this file and that's going to screw us up later. All right, so that's good. Now, if we go back to EC2 now, I wonder if that makes our other machine come to life. Passing the health check over here. I'm hoping it does. Still unhealthy. Okay, there we go. Now we've got the 302 error. So this is, I think, the redirect issue that we're having. Remember we talked about the fact that we're going from encrypted traffic on the load balancer to unencrypted traffic, and you got to set that WP config file up in a specific way to send that traffic back. So I think that's why we're getting this. Now we could kind of fake this out a little bit if we go to health checks. So save changes. So now it's basically, we won't leave it like this. But it's basically saying if the server sends back a 200 or 302, we'll consider that to be healthy. And then in the meantime, maybe we didn't read enough out of here. So we've got that. See, that's the only thing it's telling us to change. Oh, here's a good movie. We should watch this movie again. Okay, it's healthy. I don't know what this will do when we hit the load balancer, because I think that redirect means things aren't set up quite right. Here. Okay, that's all right. We're gonna say for now, accept the risk. This I'm gonna expect we'll see like the redirect error that I thought the original problem was. See how long it's taken to load? Okay, let's let that run. Don't you like how everybody has a different solution? See, this is the thing that we have. Another option from the WordPress document is add this to your config. It looks a little different than what we got from the AWS doc. So let's try this one. See how this is just spinning? We're getting so close. Yeah, and they all work. You got it. There's never an answer that doesn't work, right? Actually, I should be able to just do this now. So this is the line that we added. See, it's different. So we're just going to go. And then save this. And again, I'm just going to do the old restart thing. I don't know if we need to. We'll change the health check back. So this is what I was thinking of when we got that first error in the load balancer. When I was thinking about having to log in and set it up, because when we used to do this, we would go in and create that first database, and then that would get rid of that 302 or the 302 error, because you still had to create the database the first time. But the error that we were getting the first time was actually the credential issue. Let's see what this does. That's a good sign, kind of. It's partially alive. Yeah, it's still not right because it should pop up immediately. Well, what we can do is we can go over here first, and we can create our, if we go to Route 53, I don't know if we added this or not. Remember we created the alias record? So if we go here, yeah, okay, this alias record is now wrong, right? So we'll say edit, because we've got a new load balancer. Okay. And then in theory, although this didn't work for me, that'll at least stop the redirect, you know, the are you sure you want to continue, because now we've got a real cert on this, but something still isn't quite right. Yeah, see that? Oh, no. Should pop up like immediately. All right, so this might be again in the setup of the WordPress server. Yeah, see this here too. I remember setting these up, so we're going to take these, define generic WP and WP site URLs if you're using the load balancer. So we've got this part. I don't think we need to worry about this part here because, oh yeah, you replace HTTP with // in the database. It's amazing how this is, I can feel it in, if we keep at this, I'll remember it. Suddenly I'll be like, oh yeah, but it's been so long. Actually, if we go back here. This here. I don't know if that's going to screw this one up now because I've just mucked up this piece here. Doesn't feel like either's going to work now. Yeah, look at, ugh. Took a backward step here. Shit. We're so close to getting this figured out. Yeah, I think I just did something dumb there. Yeah, that maybe pooched it. Yeah, I wish, right? This is where having a client would be nice, like an easy to use SQL client, because we could just connect and change. There's the two records for these. I wonder if we could override that in the config here. So we know that this is the IP, right? And if we go and we look at this step, let me make sure I'm on the right machine. I guess it doesn't matter because they're both pooched at this point. Okay, so that fixed that. And then what we could do now is we could go back over here, find our other machine, the one that we actually want to use as the setup for our auto scaling. Whoops. Now, what else do they say here? So they do put this in the htaccess page as well. So maybe there's a couple changes we have to end up making here. I think I'm in the right directory. Let me just check. Yeah, okay, so we're in the right spot. I don't know why it's marked healthy still. Let's see what happens. acmewidgets.xyz. Hey, I know I was having this problem before on my side. Kevin or somebody on the stream, could one of you try to hit acmewidgets.xyz and see what happens? I know last time we did this stream and I tried to change the setup in Route 53. It kind of mucked with my setup for a while. It took a while for it to change DNS resolution. Isn't that weird? Well, that won't work. So www works. I don't know why the short name isn't working. There we go. So yeah, there's a good, I'm gonna take this overflow article and we're gonna put it into our to-do file right here. Just so we have it if we ever want to come back. This way I've got a note of it. Okay, so if we think about this, this is now done, right? Works. This, I think at this point, we could create our final AMI. And then what I want to do is test the script to pull the file down. The config file that we want to pull down to reset the Apache server with the current config file each time, which is the bootstrap script here. We're really close, but setting this auto-scaling group up, I think we'll wait till next week. So why don't I make sure, I don't want to lose the work that we've done here. So what we'll do, I should have named these different. This is the one that we don't care about because it's the 15 one. So I'm just going to say terminate. And then this one we'll use as our machine for next session. So I think the only thing that we really have left to do is the auto-scaling group. So what I'm going to do for the auto-scaling group is we're going to create a launch template, and then we will use that launch template as the source info for auto-scaling, and then we'll create like a scaling policy or something along with it. But that'll probably take us a little bit of time to get done. As I'm saying this out loud, I'm like, what was the reasoning behind having, if I go back over here, I'm trying to remember why we cared about that HTTP config file. Because in our setup, I keep hitting the wrong button on my keyboard. That's interesting. Look at that. Oh, just I'm making an AMI. I don't know if we actually, do we really care about that? Because we've only got the single host. It's not like we're worrying about virtual hosts or anything like that. I think we might cross this for the time being. We're not going to do this. I don't think there's any reason why we need this. Right? Because once we have the AMI created, we could then simply start up as many as we want, and they all point to the same config file anyways, right? I'll let that bounce around in my head between now and next week because I can't recall the reasoning behind it. Yeah, okay. I don't know. So let's give this a second and see if we can connect to this. Yeah, it must be right in the middle of the IAM process, yeah. Well, I think what we'll do is we will call it a night here. We're in the home stretch, I think. Really all we have left to do now is the launch template, the auto scaling group, and the scaling policy. Now that we've got this all working, then next week we can finish this part up and we should have a scalable WordPress deployment using EFS for that shared file system. Okay, so let's see if anybody is streaming tonight that we can go over and hang out with. Giorgio is streaming. Let's go and say hi to Giorgio. Oh, he's not streaming quite yet. Well, I think what we'll do, folks, is we will just end it here, and we will see everybody next Tuesday to finish this up, hopefully once and for all. This has been a good project. I think this is our... I'm behind a couple weeks on the channel, the YouTube channel. So, yeah, I think we're in week 5 or 6. So it's been a pretty good full walkthrough for everything, building from scratch. Start thinking about what we want to do next. I'll take some suggestions next week because we'll probably be finished. Other than that, we'll see you next Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Enjoy your weeks and see ya.